Jackson.
I'm Laura Pasquini.
And I am Bruce Mann.
And yeah, so Laura and I tried this a couple weeks ago and liked the Google Hangout. So here we are again.
We did, and now Bruce is with us.
Yay.
So more things to manage. So here we go. You know, it's interesting because a few weeks ago I felt that finding tech news was kind of hard. Like, that's how they knew IPO was such a big deal, and they talked about it for a month because nothing else was happening. And now like, everything's happening right now. So typically things get announced now because they're trying to get things finished and out in the fall for either back to school or holidays and sales. And so it's an interesting time in the tech space.
Yeah, and it was funny because we said, well, what's our topic? Because we don't have a single topic. There's just a whole bunch of things happening and people posting things. And even in student affairs and technology, there's some new happenings, changing announcements. So, yeah, this is kind of a show that if you have something else to add, we would love for you to chime in. So join the conversation. I posted the CTCX hashtag. Are people able to join our official on-air, Jeff?
That's a good question. You know, if you message me, I can probably add someone on air. But I think when I started it, I just started with just two of you. It wasn't open up to, obviously not public based on an experience Laura and I had before. And,
which we can share.
Yes. And I didn't open it up to others. But if there's something you want to say, send me a message, either Google+. You can find me on Google+ at jeffjackson.co or Twitter at jeffjackson. Send me a message, and I can add you on here if I can find you on Google+.
All right, so where shall we get started?
How about WWDC? Oh wait, you had on the rundown Foursquare. I don't know what that is though. What's to do with Foursquare?
Do we talk about it? This is my question to say, do we talk about Foursquare updates and integration and similarities to Facebook?
Did we?
I don't remember if we did or not. And this is what happens in the summer. Like you barely remember the day of the
month. I don't remember us talking about it.
You do?
No, I do not.
Okay. So the Foursquare switched it up and changed up their interface a little bit a couple weeks ago, and it was big news in, like, when I say it's big news when it gets to, I judge it by Fiacre, my partner in crime, when he tells me, he's like, did you see that article in Wall Street Journal, or it was on NPR as well, talking about the interface change, because once upon a time, Facebook put an offer out to Foursquare to say we'd like to link up with our places. That was denied, and it looks like it would be a movement, and I'll pull up an article. It looks like a movement that Foursquare wanted to partner back in, and they just changed up what the interface looks like a little bit, and they wanted to connect it with more Yelp-like content because they haven't reached that coupon or customer service of Yelp or Amazon for those reviews and feedback. I didn't know if either one of you had seen that.
I saw it a little bit. I thought it was an interesting connection to Yelp, because I know a lot of people and a lot of students who will use Yelp, but they use it for the review and will check in with Yelp.
Okay.
And, you know, so it's interesting, the connection between that and the connection between Facebook. I honestly get a little bit tired of it's Facebook doing similar things that Foursquare is doing, that Yelp is doing, and I get overwhelmed at times.
And I don't know if this is around the same time, but Google either bought Zagat or partnered with Zagat, but they have Google Local, and it's on Google+. I don't know if it's like a separate Google Local app or not, or if it's just integrated into Google+.
And I think it's going to be integrated, if it's not yet, into search.
Yeah, which is, I mean, it's kind of cool because I don't know what's more valuable, the Zagat score of a place or your friends who check in their opinions. I don't know has more value, it's different by far.
And Zagat would be food related versus like Yelp hits everything from nail salons to also just good places to hang out. So they're trying to, Yelp was expanding more into other, I guess, consumer-based or places to advertise.
And that came up with the Apple new map announcement, not to jump to WWDC.
No, absolutely.
But that was the big thing with Yelp integration into maps. So if you're looking for, Chinese food in San Francisco, search comes up for what's local with Yelp. Google Maps will have Zagat ratings. Personally, I find Yelp ratings more important, but that's just me.
Yeah, and we could talk about the Maps app for iOS 6. Because
hey,
some of it,
Bruce,
like said...
Bruce, the Sound Studio says you sound a little echoey.
I don't know why. You sound echoey to me, so I'm not sure what's going on.
Who's the Sound Studio?
Jeff L.
Okay, great.
Apparently echoey too.
I'll mess with it.
The Apple integration with Maps, though, so there's been some... CNET talked about it's going to be a boom versus Wired said, well, it's going to face challenges. I could share a couple of those links. What are some thoughts on that?
I'm sorry, say that again. I was trying to fix my microphone.
Oh, no problem. It was around, like, do you think that some of the Maps app for iOS will be challenged or will be a good thing for Apple to have taken that on?
I would say I'd say competition is good, right? I think it's good that Microsoft is doing what they're doing in mobile space. I think Android's good. I think it pushes innovation. And even if you don't like the other services, you should be happy that there's competition because it's pushing the service that you like to do better. I don't get the usefulness of the 3D maps. I think they look cool, but I don't really fully get how useful they are. And I don't think that Apple has anywhere close to the data that Google has been collecting over the last decade now of traffic patterns and street view and satellite images.
Right.
It's interesting. It's definitely interesting. I'm glad they're doing it. I don't know if that service is ready yet, but it could be soon.
What are your thoughts, Bruce?
I think the 3D point and feature is flashy, and it doesn't deserve that much use, to be honest. If I'm looking for something and I need directions, it looks really, really cool, but I don't really care about the zooming. And so flash, but no substance.
Yeah, and the Gizmodo, I just shared a link on CTCX hashtag. They did a side-by-side comparison between the two. There's more details in the Google Maps side because that's who they've had out there, and their GIS labs have been mapping and routing for a long time.
If you think of the effort that Google put into Maps for a good decade now, it's going to be hard to just recreate that. If they do it, it's cool. I know there's the OpenStreetMap group that's doing some cool stuff too, that's kind of pushing that forward. I thought one of the most interesting things is Google is now going to start doing street view of hiking paths.
I like that a lot because they've done I like the bike routes. I like the hiking. I think that's really cool. I really enjoy that a lot. And I like that it's being used by everyone from campuses to cities. So on Vancouver, on their cycling route, they also have water stops, and they have water breaks in the city where you load up and different points of interest along it, which I think is really neat. So. I watched a lot of WWDC, or at least I was watching the live coverage.
God, it got so boring after like 30 minutes. I mean, after they announced the Retina, I was just kind of done. It was mainly background noise for a long time, but that went on for a long time.
I watched bits and pieces, but I think that was in the midst of our orientation fun days starting here at campus. I think the sound crew had suggested our sound's better, so I plugged in my earbuds for you guys, so that should be better. The Retina looks cool. I was sad to lose the original MacBook, not the MacBook Pro, because the cheapest netbook is now the Mac Air.
Yeah, it's right about $1,000.
So is it cheaper to get a tablet versus a tablet with a keyboard versus a Mac Air?
Absolutely. I don't know what you're really going to be able to, what you can and can't do with the tablet versus your laptop versus your desktop. You know, it's definitely limiting. Not having Flash at all on the iPad, I think, is a big deal. I know my MacBook Pro is about to join the great computer world in the sky soon, and I'm really debating what I'm going to do. That new Retina display on that MacBook Elite Pro, whatever they're calling it, is beautiful, but it's a lot of money. A lot of money.
When does that start? Like 2024?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think so.
And the high end is like around 4K?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's a lot of money.
And there's a good article I posted from Audrey Waters, who writes for hackeducation.com. It was the RIP of the MacBook, because I'm the same as you. I don't know what year your MacBook Pro is. What is yours, Bruce?
It's a 07, I believe.
Okay, I think mine's an 05. And it might have been an 04, but it was an 06 when I got it. It was an educational laptop used in Apple Canada for my friend in Toronto. So I got one of their refurbs. So any day now it could go. So my weekend job is to back up on my terabyte and put everything else into the cloud, because I could lose what's on my current MacBook Pro at any moment. So this won't suffice for me as a budding young dissertation writing student / going to present places. So I'm thinking the same thing, but I liked Apple's interface, so I may stick with a Mac and go Air. I think that's probably the way I'll go.
And that was my plan before this announcement. I had a student that got an Air, and it's great. I don't really need an optical drive that often, so that's not that big of a deal to me. The one thing I think is fascinating, people were surprised at first about the price, including me, of the Elite Retina display MacBook Pro, but you're going to need all new cables for everything in your life with these new machines coming out. And when Apple comes out, the rumor is with the next iPhone, the iPhone 5, or knowing Apple, they will call it the new iPhone and confuse everyone. They're talking about a new pin setup on the bottom, which from the first iPod, besides the Nano and the Shuffle, like some of the Shuffles, it's been the same system. I mean, I have cables lying all over the place, so I don't worry about plugging in anywhere. I mean, that would be a gigantic shift. And I understand why they do it, but that's going to be a hassle.
Bruce, on the new Retina, you know, the people like disassemble it and they want to break it down and look at the inside parts. It's glued together. It's not screwed in together. It's literally glued together, which saves space, it saves weight. But what that means is if your battery goes out, you can't change your battery. You can't buy a new one and change it. You need the Apple Care plan, which is another couple $100, to be able to have your display, to have anything fixed in there, because you can't fix it yourself now.
And I think that's a big issue. I know with my current MacBook, I'm on my second battery, which I've learned that the issue is not with the battery but with the computer, but it's easy to go, yes, that battery is $200. Thank you, Apple. But it's an easy fix at that point. There's some beautiful things about it, and I think it's amazing. And that day, it's definitely lust-worthy, as a lot of people have said.
Yeah.
But there are some more questions than answers, I think, in the long term. But it's also the first generation of a device. So keeping that in mind, like anything else Apple does, we're going to do something you all are going to be excited about, but you all want things in it. So we'll give it to you 2 or 3 generations down the road. Like Siri, they bought Siri from another company. They took out features. They are adding those back in for iOS 6, which a lot of people are like, yay, this is amazing. But people who had Siri as an app before are like, finally, we get back the original features that we loved about it.
Apple is great at pulling off things that they should have done in the first place. Like copy and paste of like on the 3rd edition of their iPhones, and somehow they pull it off, and then everyone applauds them for it. But yeah,
they're working out the bugs. They're just trying things out, Jeff. Come on. What else?
I did buy. Speaking of buying new MacBooks, I bought a new old MacBook Pro. So it's
Nice.
just, we have a computer store here on campus. So the day of the announcement, I went to the computer store to say I want to buy a 13-inch MacBook Pro that you have here, which already has an education discount to it. And then I got the new other discount. So I got a really great deal on a new old model MacBook Pro. So I'm pretty excited about that.
And you also got a Fire. Is that what I saw?
No, I got a Kindle Touch.
Oh, okay, Kindle Touch.
Which is the $99 version of the Kindle Touch. I gotta say, that thing has been amazing. So I start classes in July, but most of my work is like loaded on the front end. So I have all these books and articles to read now. This text-to-speech thing is pretty great because I have that on double time. So they're reading the book to you, and you can follow it along or listen to it at 2 times the speed that I would normally read. And I'm flying through the books faster and consuming and retaining the information on there.
Are you saying you're going to write a book on how to efficiently do your PhD without reading / working
I don't know if
hard
I'll
for it?
write it, but I may just like audibly talk about it.
Dictate it?
Yeah, I'll dictate it.
We'll just get you it. It's a DragonNet. We'll get you that. So let's see. What else do we have to talk about? Anything else about the WWDC?
No, I think there's some exciting moments, but it'll all really shake out. I think the next iPhone iteration, which will probably be, I would assume, announced late fall, will be kind of the next big thing. And wouldn't surprise me if there's a new iPad at that point as well.
That's probably true.
Yeah.
So the next announcement was just this week as far as gadgets, since I'll stick with some gadgets, was the Microsoft tablet, I'll put in quotes, called Surface. Did either of you check that one out?
Yes.
Go ahead,
Jeff. I did. I think there's some amazing things about this, and while it's a late entry into the tablet field, I think the integrated keyboard into the cover is huge. It's one of those semi-no-brainer genius innovations. It looks beautiful. I think there's some exciting things about it. However, and I have a piece posted in the show notes from The Atlantic, they didn't talk about price at all, and they didn't talk about availability at all, which raises so many questions. Like, is this, like when you go to a car show and you see a concept car, you're like, that's amazing, and you never see it on the market at all. And specs around battery life, and no conversations around 3G or 4G. So there are just a lot of questions about, is this still concept-y, or are they getting this out at this point? They felt they needed to rush it because of Google I/O coming on June 27th. So that being said, and those question marks, I'm excited. I think any new entry into this, and this looks really cool, is going to push the big dog Apple to do more.
Cool. Yeah, let's definitely share that link. I was reading that article you posted, so I think that'll be interesting to see where it's a Windows operated. the touch keyboard seems cool, but it's not a tablet because it's not actually a built-in keyboard. So I don't know if that's being tossed around as being a tablet or not. What are your thoughts, Jeff?
What constituted a tablet or not?
I don't know. That's what I'm asking. It was that the screen was that you're able to have the whole device in one. So whether it's the buttons at the bottom or a keyboard that comes in or out from that. I don't know. I will look up that definition as you give your thoughts. How's that?
I still call it a tablet. It's in the same market. It's the people who are going to buy this are looking at that or the iPad or something like that. But I got to say, how long has the iPad been out now? 3 years?
Yeah, 3 or 4.
It's been 3 years. I don't think they've had any legit competition in that field. I mean, BlackBerry's come out with their Playbook. There's been several Android tablets. I think they've all been okay, but I don't think they've actually ever been considered competition. Maybe the Kindle Fire maybe was kind of competition because of the cheap price point, but this is legit cool stuff that Microsoft's doing. And when was the last time you said that? I mean, it was a total shock. They didn't let anyone know this was happening. They didn't know anyone know they were developing this, and then they just told people. They called. I was listening to Joshua Topolsky from The Verge say he got a phone call like on late Thursday, saying you want to be here Monday for this announcement, and they didn't know what it was. Everyone speculated it was like a new Xbox. They were talking about it was going to be a partnership with Barnes and Noble and the Nook. Everyone was speculating all these different things. And no one nailed it. And they totally surprised people. It was very Apple-like in their approach, but they pulled it off. There were no leaks or anything on there.
And I've heard a little bit on the back end, like the good of that, but then also that they didn't sufficiently prime what's going to come. So it truly was wait, what? This just happened right now?
Yeah.
But it is it's turned into a little bit of a process story as well of, is this the resurgence of Microsoft? Does this make them a player in the tablet game? Windows mobile phones have gotten a lot of buzz, but anecdotally, I don't hear students around talking about I'm so excited to get this Windows phone, but we all know about iPhones, but even the Samsung Galaxy iterations, I know people get excited about that. So is this Microsoft saying, we're still players, and you're going to pay attention to us?
Well, and the other thought of that is Microsoft does have a bigger chunk of the market. If you think about businesses and even schools, most institutions aren't Apple institutions. They aren't. They have Apple components to it, but by far and far, you'll see more learning commons and labs using a PC. So the Windows operating system, I think, might have more segue, and even the simple comparison in the USA Today story I tweeted out shares, it straddles that challenge that people aren't always using a tablet for an iPad for that computer keyboard without having that computer keyboard. So it bridges the netbook meets tablet. And I think that's where I question, was it a true tablet? Because I think it offers some more accessibility for some that aren't as comfortable with an iPad device or a different kind of even Samsung's device. Even though the mobile market said 90% of the tablets out there would be iPad use. So this might break through that 90% of Apple share with the adoption.
And its price point, I think, is going to make a big difference. David Pogue from the New York Times talked about a lot of people are assuming $1,000, and that puts it into the netbook category. So what does that mean at all? But it has a USB plug. I love that. I know Apple wants to say we don't need those things anymore, but there are just a lot of times where I'll be doing something, I'm like, how do I get things off of my iPad? Yes, I know the cloud, but there's that simple, I want to move this to here without using Dropbox or anything else, or just want ease of use and accessories, as it were, with a USB port. It might be old school.
if they could hit a similar price point to the iPad, around $500 or 500 to 700,
Or below.
and it ships with Office on there, I mean, that's huge. That's huge. That's I don't want to say game changer because people use that way too much, but
But you want to use game changer.
and it's not going to kill anything. I don't know why we always speak in violent terms in tech of how they're going to they're going to war, but that's huge. Like this could not just be a consumption device. Just still say the iPad is primarily a consumption device because no one wants to type of paper on there, right? But if you have Word and you have that type of capability on that little thing, that's pretty cool.
Absolutely.
I might get kicked out of the fanboy club, but depending on the interface, I would consider it. If we're talking the same price as an iPad, and depending on what I use it for,
Yeah.
like I know the one thing I thought I was going to take all my notes on my iPad. I don't have an external like Bluetooth keyboard for it, so it's a hassle. I will type or write notes, but if I had this and it was Word, I might be in. You know,
Yeah,
I play with it.
I agree, and yeah, feel free, Microsoft, if you want to send any one of us a Surface. I'm the same way. I have my Chromebook to type notes, and I do type a lot more at meetings, and it just makes sense, and it goes to my Google Docs. But if it was a tablet that had, operating system of Windows-like, an open office system in it, I'd be down as well. We want more. We want to see more. That's the point. Did anyone see what Seton Hall, speaking of tablets, and we talk about campus learning, and we talk about some different ways. Everyone knows the Seton Hall, just like ACU, was giving out iPads. They did the iPad 1. Some did iPad 2. Did you all know about that?
I do not know.
So they tested out giving like one iPad to everyone, incoming freshmen. And Seton Hall has now changed their tune, and they're moving to one smartphone for everyone for learning. Did you guys see? I'll share an article with all of you so you can check it out. And in that, I think they went on to talk a bit more around different learning styles and different opportunities in classrooms, not in a tablet, but more in a smartphone. So let me share this link with you.
So are they tying in like course curriculum and course design to be mobile?
Exactly.
Yeah, and it seems a lot of the focus is on the freshman experience and transition. The article, if I remember correctly, talked about a freshman experience app on there. And there are, I believe they were Nokia's, possibly?
Yeah, they are Nokia's.
It didn't ring a bell, but data as well.
Nokia Lumia 900. That's the newest Microsoft phone. It's had actually great reviews, but it's the new, whatever the Microsoft operating mobile system is.
The Windows.
That's on this tablet we just talked about also.
Yeah, it's Windows that they'll have on it.
Or Windows Mobile, whatever they call it. They're going to this thing called Metro, which I think is supposed to be the new version of that, but it's a pretty well-built phone.
We're going to say goodbye to Bruce. He's ducking out early, but he'll be back in a couple weeks when you two talk about Google. And
Google.
What are you guys going to talk about? All their announcements?
Yeah, Google
I/O is next week sometime, and so we'll talk about whatever new Android or Chromium or any of those kind of announcements are next Friday, the 29th, 3 p.m. Central, I believe, 1 p.m. Bruce's time.
Go Pacific time.
Yeah.
All right, Al. Good chatting. Good luck with the rest of the show.
Thanks, Bruce.
Bye.
See you later. So I don't know. I'd be interested to see what Seton Hall does, because there's other places they're considering, even the iPod Touch as a mobile. But this one, they're actually purchasing It's a prepaid AT&T cell phone plan, and that comes with the Freshman Experience app, and also the goal is to interweave it from teaching in the classroom to our support and academic services, from advising. Yeah, so it should be interesting. And the author even said they'll be curious to see what they actually use the smartphone for.
I mean, I kind of love it, and I kind of don't love it at the same time. Like, I don't, yeah.
I like the last quote. I've never used a cell phone for academic purposes. I'm really excited, says this 8-year-old Joseph.
Yeah, which is, I think that's kind of like the part I may not love. It's like, I'm going to give you the most distracting thing possible ever for academics. At the same time, you're giving them something you know they're going to use, unlike an email address we give them and we know they're not going to use, but we still give it to them anyway.
Oh, did you hear about Michigan State taking back? I think it was Michigan State, one of the big schools in Michigan. They took back giving their alumni their email access. Because you know how people graduate, the alumni can carry on that email with them. Well, they decided it's not needed anymore, because at the end of the day, you can get an email.
Is it because they don't use it and they're just taking up space, or?
Both. It's saving them millions of dollars, and it's also they have to think about the storage of space and facility and what their plan is. I'll pull that up.
We actually use LiveMail, which is the Microsoft student thing you get, and I think they always get it for free, but it's not on our server, so it doesn't cost us anything. I think Gmail is the same way. I don't know if you're an alumni, I don't know if you always get your Gmail account, but I mean, I don't understand the attraction to that, because if students aren't going to check that email address while they're students, are they going to check it when they're alumni?
That's a good question.
Or it depends. Want it when they're an alumni?
It depends. Like, ours connects with, you can connect with your live account, but I know that I was talking to a colleague of mine at the University of Nevada, Las Vegas, and he said they use more Google, and it depends if your school had actually purchased a Google for schools, but they integrate a little bit more, where I think if students have found value in using that email system, or if they've already been on it or familiar with it, I don't think anyone would be jumping to an AOL at any time, but maybe Yahoo, Google, or Hotmail, where some of the students are. Like, that's where the common email addresses come from.
I do have, my doctoral program, I have a Google Apps account, which is pretty cool, because I've never actually used it for school before, because my institutions haven't. So it's kind of cool to be able to have, it doesn't have the automatic directory like I was hoping it would in there, or maybe our school doesn't have that. But it's kind of cool just to be able to share docs, knowing that the people in your address book are students. You know, so you kind of have that really good collaboration space. A lot of people, shockingly, I'm one of the younger people in my program. A lot of people have never used Google Docs before. They've never had these collaborative workspace tools, and so it's been kind of cool to walk people through that.
Well, and I was thinking of, like, when I was an undergrad and my master's, a lot of it were tools that I was not using. I remember changing over my Hotmail address to Gmail when I was in my first professional job at Miami University in Ohio. So, yeah, I think that I think a lot of those changes in tech happened over, like the mid-2000s. So, of course, if you're the youngest one, of course you would know more. So what else other news do we have? News and
anything else right now? I don't know if we have anything else.
Oh, we have some, I was just going to share, there's a new blog or a new Twitter handle that I found, the new SA Prof, which are the new SA professionals. Did you see that?
You know, I saw this because someone who I follow on Twitter is one of the people who either writes with it or started it or something on there. I haven't really read it much, but I believe this is people who are just finishing their grad program and they're going to blog their experience of a first year or a new professional on here. So it's newsaprofessionals.wordpress.com.
Yeah, and I just tweeted that out for anyone who's interested. I think it looks interesting. They just found me on Twitter, so I just started reading through some of it. Hey, if you guys are ever interested in podcasting, you let us know. We'd love to have you share your stories and views at breakdrink.com. What else? Eric shared something around Facebook slippery slope versus LinkedIn targeted updates on Inside Higher Ed.
Oh, did I tell you not to?
Yeah.
I killed my LinkedIn account.
You killed it?
Yep, I am linked out.
Fair enough.
I'm de-LinkedIn.
Well, then you won't be worried about the targeted updates, but you might want to know about Facebook's slippery slope then, it sounds like. And so he posted... It's a very slippery slope. It was the article, and I just started reading it before we logged on, but it talks about different ways that people aim to get updates. It talks about how it wasn't a good month for Facebook, and at the bottom line, they want to reach more people who look like your page, so talking about targeted ads and the highlights for that. So check out just a quick walkthrough on how to promote your page posts. This would be more relevant for our student affairs technology friends who are doing some recruiting, doing some group organizations, so check that out. And even some are getting on LinkedIn a bit more, even though Jeff's getting off. Other people are still on LinkedIn and using it. One of our pre-business first-year seminars wants to use LinkedIn more to target their students so they can network with professionals to figure out what majors and what careers would best be fit for them. So,
but that's what I hear. I hear everyone saying they want to use LinkedIn more. Like, I've heard that for like 5 years, but no one actually uses LinkedIn more. I feel like they log in, they accept the request, and then log back out. Like I just don't see it as like the vibrant community on there. And when they got hacked, and maybe it was just me, I don't use it. When they got hacked and they had passwords stolen, mine was one of the ones that was stolen. They've still not really contacted me to let me know about that. And so after a few days, when I went and found out the other methods, if it was me or not, I just decided like I don't want this. I'm trying to close down social media accounts that I'm not actively using.
Sure.
And since I'm not actively using that, and typically what I mean by that was when Get Glue first came out, I signed up for it, not even knowing what it was, but I may want to use it someday, and if I use it, I want the username Jeff Jackson. So I do that whenever something new comes out. And now I'm like, I don't want just these things out there, because if they do get hacked, they steal your stuff. And so I'm trying to close down all these stuff. So LinkedIn was one that I was finding like, I don't use it, and if my password stuff's going to get stolen, I'm in a jet.
Yeah, and it's kind of like what I call the digital cleanup and the pruning of your life, and what do you use and where do you spend time. If you're going to be too social and just collecting and reading content, then where do you have time to create content? So I'm with you on that, Jeff. Someone asked, how do I maintain this? And I said, well, I don't maintain everything. I use them at different fashions and different spaces. So
yeah.
I agree with you. I do use LinkedIn a bit more. I have some good professional groups beyond student affairs that I connect with on there. So I'll have more of my human resource development and training and development groups, which you might want to choose to come back to LinkedIn perhaps, for using it for a different purpose. There are people that I connect with on student affairs, and I blasted out because I didn't skip requesting a bunch of invites to LinkedIn. So I've got a bunch of new LinkedIn friends.
There are people I know who are like in the real estate world or in the finance world. They say they use it almost every day. But it's not for me. I don't ever use it. I don't think I've made any real connections on there that I haven't made on other social networks. It's just the kind of same connections I had there were connections I had on other places. So I just
totally.
LinkedIn.
Yeah, and choose your spaces is what I say.
Yeah,
so,
exactly.
And that's totally cool.
Hey, there's one thing. I'm going to go back several stories.
Good.
One thing that's interesting to watch about with this whole Microsoft doing their the table, the tablet, Ottoman?
The tablet, sure.
The tablet, okay. Whatever it is that they came out with. This could potentially change their business model forever. Microsoft is not a hardware maker. They're a software maker that license their softwares to other hardware makers. And so they have partnerships all over, be it their phone partnerships, their computer partnerships, etc. And now they've decided, like, we're making this our own. And so it'll be interesting to see how that changes. Are they going to change? Are they start making computers now and their own laptops or everything? Or are they going to continue with these partnerships?
Yeah, and that's a great question. And what's going to change, and how does that impact? Like, if it's, because I don't know if I think the BlackBerry RIM's playbook kind of flops there. But I wonder what this will mean for future shapes of partnerships, or will there be more developments shared? I don't know. What do you think?
I would think, I think making this device is very different than making a laptop, very different than making a phone. So unless they buy Nokia, if they really buy Nokia and they want to be their own phone maker, I'm pretty sure it's going to not make their partners really happy, the fact they're doing this. But I think they'll move on. Google is going to potentially be in a similar situation since they bought Motorola. If they make their own hardware, I think they're trying to buy it for patents, but to make their own hardware that could really change things.
Mm-hmm.
That could really change things also. So I don't know. It's one of those things to keep an eye out as things go forward. It may be nothing, but it may be a pretty big shift in business models.
I think you're right, or it's going to challenge, like, kind of why they have those partnerships, or could fragment some as well.
Yeah. So there's some upcoming things to be aware of. NASPA Tech is happening in October 25th, 26th, and 27th, according to my calendar over there, which I can't see, but I have the calendar over there. I'll show you. There. That's my entire office if you want to see the whole thing. Very rectangular. Okay. So, sorry if you got seasick by that. The cost is $395 for early and $100 if you're a grad student.
Which I'm not a grad student technically, so you're not a grad student either.
I'm not a grad student?
No. If you're a full-time professional.
What if I'm full-time at both?
Yeah. Nope. Doesn't work that way, which angers me a little bit because I'm both as well.
Oh.
ACPA does accept it. NASPA doesn't. Just putting that out there, NASPA. We are full-time grad students.
Yeah. Actually, I can't go this year because of my grad studentness. I have class that weekend. So I will not be able to make it.
If I could convince Nathan that I'm a grad...
Great. So I really recommend going, especially if you're in the Indianapolis area and you can make it over there, and it's worth the trip. I would think sometime relatively soon, call for proposals would come open if you want to present.
It's open already.
Oh, it is open. Okay.
Yeah.
So we'll have the link on the show notes of the show if you want to scroll down and see that. SA Tech Boston, which is satechbos.com. It's $49, and that's, when is that? July?
Yeah, the end of...
I guess I can click on the link and see.
Yeah.
So if you're in the greater Boston area, I mean, definitely check this out. It's cool that they have this going on up there with so many schools, and Ed and Cindy and Stoller's up there now, and so many great people. Mike Petroff is up there. So many great people in the education space doing tech stuff up there. So check that out. It is
August 2nd, 3rd?
Yeah. Yes, August 2nd, 3rd.
Are you going to go to that?
I think free last year. I think this year they're having, you get a lunch and a tote bag. I'm just kidding on the tote bag, but
Yeah, we'll have like Ed or someone else calling us after this podcast.
Yeah, we'll have a preview of that as it's coming out, but definitely check that out.
Unfortunately, I have not been able to attend SA Tech Chats just because where it falls in the summer schedule, our summer schedule doesn't stay the same. Have you seen any or been part of any?
I have been a part of one.
Okay.
Yes. It was good. I mean, probably I would say the normal people on SA Chat who do tech stuff is probably who was there, but tech-specific conversation. So it's hard for me to do any chat for an extended period of time, so I was kind of in and out of it. But
okay.
Good conversation there.
And I'm trying to think if there's anything else happening.
What is that Thursdays? No.
The SA Tech Chat?
Yeah.
I have a couple in my head. I thought it was Wednesdays, but yeah, Wednesdays from 2 to 3 p.m. CST.
Okay.
So I'll tweet that out.
I did it by accident. I happened to be around when they started it, so I was able to jump in and do that.
When I first started?
Yeah.
I want to be able to join in more. It's right at the end of PhD chat, or in the middle of it. So I sometimes tune into that, but lately it's been all summer orientation all the time. Do you know that I'm famous, Jeff? Well, not really. I'm famous on Delicious.
By the way, I've been getting a lot, not a lot, but a steady increase of followers on Delicious. Either it got really popular or like the spammers finally discovered it was there and they're starting to follow more people on there.
It is getting a bit spammy, but I was laughing because they sent me an update saying, do you mind if we feature you on Delicious? I was like, sure. And then so I go to this, it's a stack that I've curated because I started using stacks because I'm doing a little digital cleanup of my stuff and getting rid of things. I tweet and it shares my tweets URLs right to my Delicious account, so I'm trying to clean up and curate and organize it a bit more. And on there, one of them was social media tools, so that's been featured, which is good and bad because I do think there's some spam bots out there. But I have had a bunch of new followers, and one that I like that we should probably consider doing maybe for one of our talks, or one of our podcasts or now webcasts on Google Air, is maybe curating a bunch of other resources and inviting others to, because you can actually have a stack, and in that stack you can invite contributors, you can share and edit it. I think there's a great wealth of resources. It would be neat to see, and I know that in the advising chat we started this, is having curated content from those chats. So there's a great list of, it's great to have a transcript and everything, but would it be better to have some resources attached to that topic area? Advising Chat started it because Paul Cox, or at P Cox, he started doing a little bit of that after we had the transcripts. He said, well, let's put the links and resources in one area, and we started using Delicious.
Cool.
So.
Very cool. Yeah, that would be cool to have. So for everyone, thanks to Rachel Luna and Ross and I know Jennifer Keegan and Jeff Lell and whoever else watched us live today. Thanks for joining us live. And if I didn't know you were joining us live, then you should tweet more in the show.
Or say hello. So you guys will be back on, is it the 29th, the Friday?
Yes, Friday the 29th. I believe it's on my calendar at 3 p.m.
CST?
So, sorry, wait, no. Wrong week. Yes, 3 p.m. Central Standard Time, where Jeff Lowe and I will be talking about Google I/O and anything new that came out of that. And anything that happened between now and next week we'll probably chat about on there.
Yeah, when he says Jeff Lale, he means Bruce B. Man.
I do mean Bruce. And Jeff can hang out with us if he wants to.
I said that. He said he'd like to be in the background and do our technical again. So
yes.
Yeah, and I look forward to seeing that or hearing that and maybe watching it from Ireland. So I'm on the road. So if I can join you, I will. If not, I look forward to watching the video of you two. Make it snappy. Oh, quick question. What are you reading right now?
What am I reading?
Yeah, what book's on your desk?
I have the Lean Startup. Did I talk about this last week?
I don't know. Show me that. I saw the APA guide last time.
Oh, yes. I have the Lean Startup, which is, if I didn't talk about it, I know I talked about it recently. I don't know if it was here or not. But the reason I'm reading this is because I think with our office being a small office and limited funds and having a pretty wide scope, I think that we resemble a startup company. And so how do you do startup culture in higher education? And so I got this book and how they have very fast development cycles. They do assessments. They make changes. They move forward. So trying to think about that is in a management and a assessment model and kind of all of those things. I started reading Lean Startup, which has been a really cool read so far.
Cool. I just finished a book. I did the digital connections in the personal connections in the digital age by Nancy K. Baum. And I've been meaning to read this for a while. I'm not going to review this for an article or anything like that because it's a 2010er, but I will do a post on my blog about it. And since Jeff likes to do videos, he's probably going to do a video book review of his. My friend Frank does video book reviews. You might like that better.
I've done that before, but as you can see, I still got a ways to go so far. And I'm reading for school too. I'm reading a book called The House Diversity Built or something like that. Yeah. It's on my Kindle. I guess I could hold that up next time.
Yes, you can hold your Kindle up.
So I would like to do almost a presentation on how I think this should be implemented here and share that with everyone else. Well,
and I do have, it's funny because I've got these real books I'm reading before I go the road. This is my school book, so be lucky that you're reading a more fun school book because I'm coming up with my methodology this summer for my dissertation. But this is a good book though, Jeff. Research Design by John W. Cresswell. They does all qualitative, quantitative, and mixed method approaches.
Sounds exciting.
I know.
I don't know how you go to bed at night. I don't know how you put that down, turn the light off.
It is very invigorating to look at placing theory in a quantitative study. Is a highlight here I'm on right now. So, hey, get excited.
Yes.
Cool.
So we have that one next week, and then
July.
We'll announce after that. I'm gone for 2 weeks in July for school, so probably we're looking at the last week in July, unless some breaking news happens and Laura and Bruce feel they have to cover it. So.
I don't have too much. The last week in July, the 31st, I will say I'm doing a day-long webcast with Paperclip with Eric Stoller and Ed Cabellin. And I can probably post that out somewhere.
A day long?
Well, not full day, but close enough. We're going to have breaks in between, and we're going to try and make it a little bit more interactive than your typical hour webinar. But we're each doing like a small content, and I know I have this somewhere, so I could probably share this with you. But yeah, it's supposed to give some ideas around social media and strategy and student affairs. You would like this because we have our own URL for that, Jeff. It's called
here's my
Campus Social Media is what it's called.
So here's our new communication strategy this year. And
go on.
Last year is also, but we're changing. Last year's written down in a notebook somewhere. But we're changing it. We're finding the things that worked and things that didn't work on our campus and communicating with students, and we're trying to tweak and redo it. And so we have a this was last year's.
Yeah.
Yes. And so we wrote it all out, and then we had on a whiteboard, and then we talked about how it was going to flow, and how if we put something on email, that should also be on our Tumblr blog, and that should also be linked to our Facebook page, and so how everything's going to flow and connect
right.
to all the different things that we're doing. So there is thought behind the madness.
I'd love to chat with you some more, and we can still chat more about this because I was just coming up with some ideas yesterday about it. So we'll continue this discussion, but I shared the link anyways if anyone's interested. Thanks for tuning in. I think Greg Soap, we have a Canadian watcher, Greg from Manitoba. Good to have you. He says it's fun to watch us live. I guess we're somewhat entertaining to watch. See us fumble around with our technology and all that. So.
It is weird because you have to pay attention all times now because there's a camera there. Even though I have like 3 different monitor screens going on, so I keep forgetting there's a camera here because I'm looking over here at where you are, and then.
And we did promise, we talked about this before the show, we'll do some how-tos, because it's really pretty simple, but maybe some how-tos. And if you were going to ever broadcast or share a training session or share with a group, some things that you can do some neat ideas for this kind of presentation. So, cool.
All right.
Have a good week. Exit music, go. Bam, 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 bam. Why am I the only exit?